Today, we're going to dive into a story that's over 2,000 years old. It's about a prince who had everything you could possibly imagine, but gave it all up to find an answer to one single question. How do we find peace when the world is so full of suffering? So, let's go back in time. Our story starts in a kingdom in ancient India, where a life of unbelievable luxury is about to get completely turned on its head, all because of one peek at the world outside. We begin inside the massive walls of a beautiful palace. This is the home of a young prince whose entire world was basically engineered to be perfect, a life with absolutely no shadows. When this baby boy, Prince Siddhartha Gautama, was born, the whole kingdom celebrated. But then a wise man came and made a pretty wild prophecy. He said Siddhartha would either become a great king and conquer the world, or he'd become a great spiritual leader and change the world forever. While his dad definitely wanted him to be a king, so he decided to shield Siddhartha from anything and everything difficult. Just try to picture it, a life where you only see beautiful gardens with peacocks, you only hear music and laughter, you only wear the softest silks. In his little world, sadness and sickness, they just didn't exist. It was like a perfect golden cage. But you know how it goes. No wall can keep curiosity out forever. As the prince got older, he just had to see what was beyond his perfect home. And what he saw out there, well, it would change his life. And honestly, the course of history, for good. On his very first trip out of the palace, Siddhartha saw something totally new to him, an old man, all hunched over, walking with a cane. Now, for someone who had only ever seen people who were young and strong, this was a huge shock. It was his first real, unfiltered look at what aging means. And this wasn't just him observing something. It became personal, fast. He turned to his chariot driver and asked this really simple but profound question. For the very first time, it clicked. What happens to other people could happen to him too. And just like that, the perfect bubble was popped. And the eye-opening moments just kept coming. On his next trip, he saw a man literally twisted in pain from some kind of disease. When Siddhartha asked what was wrong, his driver gave him a really blunt, unavoidable answer. Sickness is just a part of life. Nobody gets a free pass. And there it is again, that deeply personal question. You can almost feel the weight of this new reality just settling on his shoulders. The world was not the happy, perfect place he thought it was. It was actually full of pain and fragility. The third sight was the most final one of all: death. He saw a funeral procession, and he finally understood that everyone's life, eventually, comes to an end. This wasn't just an idea anymore, it was a devastating reality that filled him with this deep, deep sadness for every living thing. So after seeing old age, sickness, and death, Siddhartha saw a fourth sight. But this one was different. He saw a monk, a man with no home, no money, nothing. And yet, he had this look of total, unshakable peace on his face. And right then, Siddhartha had a flash of insight. Maybe, just maybe, if suffering is universal, the path to peace could be too. It was a glimmer of hope. And so, the prince made a decision. A huge one. He just couldn't stay in his palace anymore, pretending the world was something it wasn't. He had to find that peace he saw in the monk's eyes. And this is where the next great chapter begins, his search for truth. In what must have been an incredible act of courage, he left everything behind. The palace, his family, his royal title, all the riches. He just rode out into the night, not as a prince anymore, but as a seeker, totally determined to find an answer to this problem of human suffering. Now, his journey was not quick, and it was not easy. For 6 long years, he poured everything he had into this search. He went and studied with the wisest teachers he could find. He practiced really extreme self-discipline, pushing his body and his mind to their absolute limits, all in this relentless search for the truth. Finally, he came to a special tree, a Bodhi tree. He sat down beneath it and made this powerful promise to himself. This was it. He would not get up, he would not eat, he would not move until he finally understood what he'd been looking for. As he sat there meditating, his own mind basically threw everything it had at him. All of his fears, all of his doubts, all of his temptations, they all came up for one last fight. But his determination was absolute. He just watched them come and go, totally undisturbed, as calm and steady as a mountain. And then, as the sun began to rise, it happened. He found the answer he had spent years searching for. In that moment, the search was finally over, and a new life, as a light for the entire world, was just about to begin. Just as the morning star appeared in the sky, Siddhartha finally saw it all clearly, the true nature of suffering and the path that leads away from it. In that moment of incredible insight, he wasn't Prince Siddhartha anymore. He had awakened. He had become the Buddha. But here's the thing. He didn't just keep this amazing wisdom to himself. The Buddha spent the rest of his life, more than 45 years, walking all over India and sharing what he had learned. And he taught everybody who was willing to listen, from kings and queens down to the poorest farmers. His message was for everyone. As he got older and his life was coming to a close, his final teaching was just beautifully simple. He reminded his followers of two basic truths. First, everything in life is impermanent. It's always changing. And second, because of that, the most important things you can do are to be kind to each other and to live wisely. And so while the Buddha's physical life came to an end, his teachings, they didn't. They've been passed down for more than 2,500 years, and they continue to be this guiding light for anyone, anywhere, who's looking for a way to find peace inside themselves. And that really brings us back to us, doesn't it? The Buddha's entire journey started because he was confronted with the reality of change and uncertainty. So his story kind of leaves us with a question for our own lives. In this world that is constantly changing around us, how do we find peace? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for joining.